Have you ever wondered if the success you've been chasing is really worth it? Meet John, an executive at the peak of his career, with everything money can buy. A luxury car, $1 million penthouse, the dream of many. But why does he feel so empty inside? Prepare yourself for an emotional journey that begins with a simple fall in the park. An unexpected encounter. A conversation that changes everything. A life lesson that will touch your heart. Discover how John learned the true meaning of success and happiness, and how you too can transform your life. This isn't just another inspirational story. It's a wake-up call to look beyond appearances and rediscover what really matters. Are you ready to question your priorities? Ready to take the first step towards a more fulfilling and meaningful life? And before we dive into this emotional story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like so you don't miss any updates. The sun had barely risen when the alarm went off in the luxurious penthouse apartment in the heart of the city. John, a 45-year-old executive, slowly opened his eyes, feeling the familiar weight of routine on his shoulders. He got up, walked to the panoramic window, and observed the city awakening beneath his feet. Another day, another million, he muttered to himself, his voice laden with a bitterness that all his success couldn't mask. John mechanically got ready, putting on a custom-made Italian suit. As he adjusted his silk tie in the mirror, his eyes met his own reflection. For a moment, he didn't recognize the man staring back at him, tired eyes, worry lines marking his forehead, a smile absent for so long it seemed to have been forgotten. "Who are you?" he whispered to his image, feeling a wave of discomfort wash over him. At the office, John navigated through another day of endless meetings and million-dollar decisions. His assistant, Sarah, entered his office with a stack of documents. "Mr. John, here are the reports you asked for." "Oh, and your ex-wife called again about your son's science fair next week?" John furrowed his brow. "Science fair? Already?" Sarah nodded, a look of concern crossing her face. "Yes, sir. It's the final project of the year. Your son has been working on it for months." "Months?" John murmured, realizing how much time he had lost, immersed in his relentless pursuit of success. That night, unable to sleep, John decided to do something he hadn't done in years: walk in the park near his house. The fresh night air hit him like a revelation. He observed couples holding hands, children playing, elderly people chatting on benches. All this life happening around him, and he had barely noticed. Lost in thought, John didn't see the protruding root in the path. His foot caught and he fell, landing hard on the ground. "Damn!" he exclaimed, dusting off his expensive suit, feeling humiliated and irritated. "Need help, young man?" a gentle voice asked. John looked up and saw an elderly gentleman sitting on a nearby bench, with a compassionate look that made him hesitate. "I'm fine," he replied dryly, but something in the old man's gaze made him stop. The gentleman slowly stood up, leaning on a cane. "My name is Frank. Why don't you sit for a bit? Looks like you could use a break." Reluctantly, John accepted, feeling a sharp pain in his ankle. "John," he introduced himself briefly, massaging his leg. "You know, John," Frank began, his eyes shining with a wisdom that only years can bring, "I was like you once. Always running, always chasing the next big deal. I thought the world would fall apart if I stopped for a second." John raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "And what changed?" Frank smiled, the wrinkles on his face deepening. "Life taught me a lesson, in the hardest way possible. I realized that true success isn't measured by the size of your bank account or the position you hold. It's measured by the depth of your relationships, the peace in your heart, and the positive difference you make in others' lives." The words hit John like lightning. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of hope, mixed with deep regret. "But how?" John asked, his voice trembling slightly. "How did you change?" Frank placed a gentle hand on John's shoulder. "Start slow. Reconnect with old friends, spend time with your family. Do something for others without expecting anything in return. At first, it will seem strange, even scary. But trust the process." In the days that followed, Frank's words echoed in John's mind. He found himself looking at the phone, hesitant. Finally, he gathered the courage and called an old friend. "Mike? It's John. I'm sorry I lost touch. I know it's been years, but can we meet for coffee? On the other end of the line, there was a moment of surprised silence, followed by a warm response. John? Wow, it's been a while. Sure, I'd love to see you. How about tomorrow? Each small step was a struggle against years of ingrained habits. John reduced his hours at the office, to the shock of his colleagues. He started having dinner at home, rediscovering the pleasure of cooking. He called his ex-wife and asked about their son's science fair. John? You remembered the fair? His ex-wife's surprised voice made him feel a pang of guilt. Yes, I'd like to go, if it's still possible, he responded hesitantly. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line before she answered, Of course it's possible. I'm sure Ethan will be happy to see you there. That night, John called his son. Hey, champ. I heard about your science project. Can you tell me a bit about it? Ethan's voice lit up with excitement. Dad. It's about renewable energy. I built a mini wind turbine. Wow, that sounds amazing. Do you mind if I come see it at the fair? There was a pause, and then, You're really coming, Dad? His son's hopeful voice made him swallow hard. Yes, champ. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Weeks turned into months. John returned to the park, his face more relaxed, a genuine smile on his lips. He spotted Frank on the same bench. Frank, he called, running to the bench. I wanted to thank you. You changed my life. Frank smiled gently. I just showed you the path, John. You were the one who had the courage to follow it. John felt tears in his eyes. I never imagined I could feel this complete. Yesterday, I went to my son's science fair. He explained his project with so much enthusiasm, and at the end, he hugged me and said he was happy I was there. Do you know how long it had been since I saw that sparkle in his eyes? Life is funny, isn't it? Frank reflected. Sometimes we need to fall to find the strength to follow a new path. John nodded, looking at the park full of life around him. He saw a young executive hurry by, talking on his cell phone, and felt a twinge of recognition. Understand now, he said softly. True happiness doesn't come from what we possess, but from the connections we create and the good we do. I wish I could go back in time and tell this to my younger self. Frank laughed. But you can do something even better, John. You can be for others what I was for you. Share your story, inspire others to make this change before it's too late. And you, who are listening to me now, think, what changes can you make today to live a more fulfilling and meaningful life? Remember Frank's words, every small step counts. Start now, and you might be surprised at how much your life can blossom. John's story reminds us that it's never too late to change, to rediscover what really matters. Sometimes, an unexpected fall is exactly what we need to get up and follow a better path. Before we wrap up, I'd like to hear from you. What did this story awaken in you? What change do you intend to make starting today? Leave your comment. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next inspiring stories. Together, we can create a world where success is measured not by what we have, but by the positive impact we make. Until next time.